Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And he's a happy Justin, aka Tags. I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days, and I'm happy too.
Whoa, God, man.
we had a rough technical start.
It took a bit to get this one started.
But we're fine, and Justin was very patient. I was
with you, yeah.
With me, yeah. No, I'm late. I'm
angry.
We're starting this about an hour late. 45 minutes of that was me, and 15 minutes of that wasn't your fault. So we're good, right? League launch day.
Here we are. Yeah, you know what?
Here we are.
It's a league launch, so we're recording very late, and I'm already drinking in the main episode. And so After Dark patrons, you are gonna love it because I am starting early tonight.
After Dark, we get we call it compliments of us being it's X-rated ish.
Yeah.
You know, it gets a little bit more not dirty, a little bit more apathetic,
real,
a little bit more, you know, alcohol induced.
Yeah,
you know, skin on skin kind of stuff.
Speaking of Patreon,
thanks,
big shout out to
speaking of skin on skin,
thank you so much to our patrons. A couple things we've got. Thanks to Soja for the donation this week. Cadbury TV, thanks for joining our Patreon. A couple other resubs, and Dickwet for boosting the it feels like that should have been in After Dark, but for boosting the Discord server. Thanks to everybody, and big shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast and hanging out with us in After Dark, which is what you get as a patron. It's access to After Dark, which is what we just mentioned. It's our podcast after the podcast. We just talk more about stuff and things.
I wonder if people, like, you know, sometimes you have a username or a gamer tag and like it's just been your name, you don't think about it as anything else after a while. I wonder if sometimes, like, thanks, Dickwet. Like, I don't know if that's how we're supposed to pronounce it or not.
Yeah.
Dickwet. I don't know.
It's something Dickwett. But there is a one at the end, so Dickwet one.
But anyway, I'm just, you know, I wonder if sometimes, like, every time they hear it, they're like, yeah, they said it. Yes. Or if they're like, oh, I really should change that. I think it's awesome.
It's
by
awesome.
the way, don't change it. And also, speaking of names, Trevor, I just wanted to shout out, we don't have Justin and I haven't set up our, you know, company or podcast email yet, so we didn't have anything to reply to you yet, but thank you very much for the wonderful email that you sent us this week. Really appreciate it. We did get it. Just wanted to acknowledge it so you didn't think we were ignoring you or that your message didn't get through. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
On a side note, this is League Launch Day. We're going to get right to it. We're not doing
eventually. We'll get there when we want to.
Yeah. But there were just our Discord people might have known that Justin's been playing around with some of the bots. Some of the other bots we've had have been causing a tiny bit of issues. And so
Patreon's causing the issue.
Well, Patreon, not patrons.
No,
yes.
The Patreon bot.
Point is, take a look at your role, you know, whether you're a member or a patron or a legend, and let us know if you don't have the right role. We'll fix it for you as quick as we can, but we don't have a way of double checking any errors that have already happened. So we're in the process of fixing it.
We do. It just takes a bit. The problem right now is that where the biggest problem is when people stop being patrons, it changes the access, but for some reason it also removes the member role. And I've talked to Patreon and they've said, oh, no problem. Yeah, you can fix that. You just have to give the server, or you have to give the bot kick access. And I was like, well, you guys don't get your shit right. Even with some of the small role stuff, I'm a little nervous to give your bot access to kicking members from the Discord. And I'm like, there's no reason to. I can see it. Just uncheck member. It shows all of our Discord roles and like which ones work with each tier. Just untick that stupid box. It won't let me untick the box unless I give the bot kick access. And I'm like, I'm not giving you guys kick access because you suck at how you manage it.
So if you're not the right role, just let us know, Discord folks. But to everyone, it is Easter this weekend, right?
Yep.
I'm not screwing it up.
Happy
Easter, everybody. Well, it's Easter here in Canada for us anyway, so that means it's Easter everywhere else. So for whatever it is that you celebrate Easter for, whether it's religious or just hanging out with family, happy Easter. I hope you have a fantastic time and that the Easter Bunny does wonderful things. And especially for our friends in Quebec, where Quebecois, where there's over 1 million people without power because of all their ice storms. It's crazy
Really?
bad.
Wow.
Like the ice was so thick, so heavy, so much has fallen. Over 1 million people without power. And some of them are going to be getting their power back on by Sunday, almost, hopefully, many of them by then, but that's insane. So anyway, for any listeners, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are French only speakers that listen to us, but anyway, anybody from Quebec listening in, we hope you're well, and we hope you're warm. We hope you're safe. Hope you are fed and hydrated.
They're gonna have to skip the league though. They didn't get to start on day one, so can't even play.
That's probably what they're thinking. That's probably why GGG's numbers. I mean, GGG, he was 50. What was it? What's the word they use? Concurrent. They set the record. They set the record for concurrent players again by over 50,000. Mm-hmm. And they're probably cursing this ice storm in Quebec because it probably would have been 1 million
at least
and 50,000. Mm-hmm. So
anyway,
I mean, so that's probably what the Quebecois are thinking. The Quebecers are thinking right now. Man, I wish I could have been playing PoE right now.
How was your week, friend?
I had a fantastic week, man. It was good. We're getting some nice consistent rain. We had people in Discord asking how our frosty weather's doing, if it's killing our seeds. I got impatient. I didn't see any seeds catch, so I replanted some seed. Wasn't gonna wait. None of this business, and I did it by hand. None of this Scott's suggestion business. I'm overseeding everything.
Hey, we don't say their name until they're.
Oh yeah, that's right. Actually, this seed came from our buddy Chris with a K.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, a nice big tub of it with the stuff that was on freaking steroids when they gave it to me the last time.
Nice.
And so yeah, I'm overseeding with that, and really enjoying the weather because it's just this nice constant drizzle of rain. Justin and I, lawn folk, appreciate that big time. And it's also nice for all the other flowers that hopefully didn't die. So I had some hope though for all of my other plants, because the herbs that I planted, I did some green onions, some parsley, did some strawberries, and there's something else. Anyway, there was like one other thing that I provided. Anyway, forget. They started sprouting right from seeds, right? Didn't buy the plant, right from seeds. They started sprouting. So I'm like, sweet. Frost didn't kill that. Maybe it didn't kill the other stuff. So
nice.
Anyway, I had a great week. It was normal. The kids had the day off today, which was good, right? Because it's where we live, our kids in our district, they have, for Easter, they have Friday and Monday off. So it's a 4-day weekend. And we had league launch today. But because it's a federal holiday, my wife also got the day off, and she was just happy to play her story of Hogwarts Legacy, and the kids watched, and then the kids had their own Hogwarts Legacy time, and then they went out to go play with their cousins in the rain at a playground, which they had a blast. Then they come back, and my wife made dinner. So guess what I did, Just?
What'd you do, Ty?
I played League Launch today.
Yeah, you did.
I was able to, and GGG, thank you. Sorry, this isn't going to be the Tyler show. I'm going to give Justin time to speak on occasion, but thanks, Just. You're probably still fuming.
I'm a little angry. I'm still chilling.
Yeah,
that's right.
But no, so GGG, thank you. Last league, what was that? We're 321. So I think it was 320 where you put the realm down, but it didn't come back up until like really close to launch time. And I had like minutes to apply my filters from the old version to the new version. And I couldn't remember if that was normal or not, but this time around, the realm was down and back up so quickly that I didn't know it was down. I never got when I'm F5ing. Like, so I have my filter pages up and I'm editing my filters, but I'm not going to hit submit so I don't lose I'm copying and pasting into Notepad, so I have my changes anyway, but I'm not hitting refresh, I'm not hitting submit. I'm just keeping the page up because that's my primary page that I use, right? The pathofexile website for doing all my filter stuff. And on the other side where I just have pathofexile.com up, I'm hitting F5. And after half an hour, I'm realizing it says Crucible at the top. Like it already went down and came back up. And it was 10:30? Like I had 2.5 hours, 3 hours of actual uptime on the website between the transition to apply everything. So thank you, GGG, for such a smooth, quick application. The content creators, filter people that use your website, build posters, they could do it. They had time. So it was awesome. So my kids are gone or distracted, having fun. My wife was happily, taking care of them. It wasn't like, oh, I'm not getting a day off on my federal holiday. She was having a blast. She's not like that anyway, but you could be disheartened if you were really excited for a day off and didn't get it because you're stay-at-home husband staying at home playing video games. So no, it was a great day. Got to do the league started right off the bat, and I was so excited that I had myself a massive, massive meal in front of me that I just poked at all day. It was fantastic. I had a massive thing of water that I flew through. I even poured myself some alcohol, Justin. I was so excited.
What'd you have?
Oh, just some vodka. It's our go-to. It was a good day, Justin. It was a good day.
Good.
As one of the original Lonely Island YouTube videos said, I'm glad I wore these pants. You remember that one? Their Nintendo video before they'd ever show their faces. Lonely Island used to have just those little animated videos. Oh, dang. I'll send I'm gonna write this down so I remember, but I'm gonna share that in our Discord. It's a good one. It's a good one. The original Lonely Island. Hang on. Video. All right, there it is. Justin, how was your week?
It was all right. Works what it is, but what did I do this week? We went and saw John Wick 4.
Oh, cool. Who'd you go with?
My wife. We went out.
My wife.
Yeah, we actually went out like for an evening, which was really nice. And went out for dinner and then went and saw a movie.
Which night was that?
Wednesday, maybe Wednesday night. So
that's our date night.
Yeah, we went and saw John Wick. And it was fine. The movie was fine.
I can't ask you about movies that you're like
John Wick, the first one. Loved it. There was like the story's just so good. You know what I mean? John Wick 4, you're kind of at the point where it's like, okay, like
seen it before.
Well, and then it's 2.5 hours long, 2 hours and 50 minutes. And I'm not even joking when I say probably an hour and a half is just the same thing. Yeah, like I was saying to Christina, I'm like, I love the first one because there's a reason. He had a purpose. There was a good story to it. This was just like, how many humans can we just throw? Just like toss them. You know what I mean? Like it just got too much. And also, like we seen the first 3 of them, and after we left, I was like, did they get bulletproof suits in the third one? Like, I don't remember them having bulletproof suits. Have you seen the first 3?
Yes. I'm up to date except for 4. And
do you remember them ever having bulletproof suits?
No.
But they don't even talk or like tell you, but I'm like, over half the movie is them just like holding an arm up, like they're holding just a suit jacket. And both of us are like, nobody got hit in the hand like that. It just, it just got, I don't know. It was
Captain America never getting his foot shot.
Yeah, it was fine, but like we've seen it. It's fine. It's done now. But yeah, it was nice to go out. We're actually going to what's the soccer club in Vancouver called?
No, not the Canadians, the Whitecaps.
Whitecaps. We're going to a Whitecaps game tomorrow, so that'll be fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you're a big soccer fan. You'll love that.
Yeah, whatever. My brother and his wife.
Do you know any of the players?
Not. Asked my wife and I if we wanted to go with them, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then we've got a bunch of all the families coming over on Sunday for Easter egg hunt. Christina does like a huge Easter egg hunt, so yeah, it was a good week.
No, your wife allows the Easter bunny to come over.
Well, the Easter bunny we still get visited in the morning by the Easter bunny. Good. She just does her own search thing for the kids.
You have a very nice wife. The Easter bunny only comes here.
Yeah, the Easter bunny comes Saturday night, Sunday morning, but she likes to do one for all the kids on the Sunday afternoon. So yeah, they're all coming over Sunday for that. Okay, so I want to get into Pathofexiled. Yeah.
Oh. Yes, I do too, but I have an Easter bunny thing.
I have one.
Are you going to Pathofexiled?
No, I'm not.
Remind me I have an Easter bunny thing because I'll forget it. So you go ahead.
I just want to tell you something. I found it amusing at dinner tonight. So at dinner tonight, we were talking. I don't remember what was happening, but my youngest, so she's 5, was saying something about I think my son hurt his leg or something. And so my 5-year-old is like trying to say that what caused it. And she's like, but I can't say what it was. And I'm like, well, why not? And she's like, because didn't say it's a swear word. She said it's a bad word. And I was like, well, what's the bad word? And she's like, it's the F word. And I'm thinking, you don't know the F word. And I said, well, what is it? And what's the F word? And she's like, I can't tell you. I said, it's fine, because I'm asking you, like, what's the F word? And she's like, stupid. And so I start to laugh, and I said, I'm like, no, like, don't say that towards people, but that's that. I wasn't going to tell her that's not the F word. Here's what the F word is. But what was funny is, as we're talking, my 8-year-old goes, why can't we say bad words? And my first reaction, I just said, well, you know, it can hurt people's feelings, blah, blah, blah. And then I started to think about it. And I looked over at Christina and laughed. I'm like, that is an amazing question, because even I wonder that sometimes. Like, why is shit bad? Like, there's no, we've just made it up that that's going to be a bad word. But
crap, which means the same thing, is totally fine.
It was so funny. I was like, man, that's such a great question. Why? I didn't have a good answer for it. I was just like, just because you might hurt someone's feelings. And thankfully she was like, all right.
Yeah.
So
that's
anyway,
really funny.
Sorry, tell me your Easter story, and then let's do Path of Exile.
What Easter story?
You just said to remind you about an Easter story.
What was it about?
All right, people listening, this is what I have to deal with all of the time. When you listen back to this, you're going to be like, wow, poor Justin. Like, he's not kidding.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about
like before.
Easter Bunny. I was talking about friggin' John Wick.
Okay, like, no. Easter Bunny, you got it. Okay, great. Awesome. So, what was it? Your wife was doing Easter stuff, just like the Easter Bunny does. Easter Bunny doesn't come to our... Oh, right. So, my son this week, parents, driving with their kids, earmuffs for 2 minutes, please. My son, who's 8, he's in grade 2.
Hold on, Ethan, if you're listening, earmuffs, please. Go ahead. Go on.
Burn. So, who's Ethan? Just so people know.
My 21-year-old.
So, anyway, my son, who's in grade 2, he's 8 years old. He comes up to me and he's like, "Dad, I don't believe in the Easter Bunny." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "I think the Easter Bunny is a human." And I'm like, "Well, okay." He's like, "I think the Easter Bunny is a human that dresses up as a bunny and does all the eggs."
Fair.
And I'm like, "Well, what makes you say that?" He's like, "It's stupid that a bunny can go around everywhere and drop eggs, because bunnies and chocolate don't mix."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so it's a person that hops around and goes to all these places at once. And as the time changes throughout the world, the Easter Bunny just like bam, 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 bam. He's like, yeah, like Santa. I'm like, oh,
that's awesome.
Cool. I thought this was that year at Christmas. I thought this was this year at the time where we celebrate
too little, it's
Jesus'
too fun.
death and birth.
Too fun.
Nope. Yeah. Oh no, I don't care
awesome.
how long they believe it for. That's fine to me. But like, and I'm gonna let them, like, I'm honest with them too. When they talk to me, it's like, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, never seen them." Like, I totally just let it be their thing. Mm-hmm. And so that's it. So anyway, Path of Exile, Path of Exile, Path of Exile. Parents listening in their cars with their kids. Which I don't know why you do.
Go ahead and click that
Justin swears all the time.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
You got a mouth. No. You got a mouth. And we all know they just like, oh, BK's on. We're just gonna listen to that on our own time.
I don't swear that often.
Actually, no, she's good with it too. It's the After Dark episode.
After Dark, we just do whatever we want.
You two get your
once I start drinking
bad word language on.
Stupid.
That's a bad F word.
Yeah. All right, let's do Path of Exile. Hey, we're not doing any sort of direction here. We're just going, right?
Nope.
Crucible's out.
Notes. We'll do all like the cool stuff that have happened, patches, tweets and stuff. We'll catch up on 2 weeks next week.
Can I bring up one thing though? That's actually not related necessarily to our playthrough, but did you actually look at Curic's Vault? I didn't until.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Do it. Tell me, can I look at it?
Yeah.
Or you want to just tell me about
their
it?
website's like down or something. It's not working right now.
Shut up.
But Curic's Vault has
You're right, it is.
free version as well as a paid version now. So you can get Curic's Vault, and here's how it works. It's based on unlocking.
That's why the site's down. People are freaking out.
It's based on unlocking maps, right? So based on how many maps you've unlocked on the Atlas. So same idea as Curic's Vault's always been. But
is that what it was? I never even considered.
Yeah, it was always based on how many of the maps do you get. Up to 115 is what you get. So
really,
the free track, they call it. There's the free track and the premium track. You pay for the premium track, which I have to give them credit. The idea that they made it, you can use points for it now. I think that's very cool. It allows you to buy their, if you like their other packs or whatever, you can use points towards it. So I do like that. Free track. When you complete your first map, you get 3 Orb of Horizons.
Sorry, I zoned out because my
free track
website turned on. Free track,
3 something. You beat the first map, you unlock one objective, it's objectives, sorry, not beat a map, but complete the objective, right? 3 Orb of Horizons. Once you do 8, you get scouting reports, 3 scouting reports. Once you do 17, you get 3 Orb of Unmakings. Once you do 27, you get a random unique map up to tier 5. Once you do 40, you get 3 random polished scarabs. 57, 3 influenced scouting reports, 80, 5 awakened sextons, and 115 is either a Zoth, Esh, or Tull Breachstone. So that's cool. I like the fact that they actually brought out something free.
It's in-game currency. It's not MTX,
which is fine.
You get it as a reward with their version of a battle pass, which I do like that a lot.
And their paid version. So their paid version is interesting this time because 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are actually mystery boxes. You get a mystery box. So Apocalypse, Glimmerwood, Thaumaturgy, and Midnight mystery boxes. I like the idea of that. But I don't know that I would want it because I don't know. I guess you can't get something from the mystery box that you've already gotten before. So maybe that's not so bad anymore. I didn't when I first thought of it, I was like, well, I don't want to get something I've already gotten, but I like the past ones where you knew what you were getting for every step.
Yeah, I think mystery boxes are a crap way to spend money.
Yeah,
not in general. When you are intentionally buying that, but if you're spending money to buy something and then it's mystery boxes instead of something more specific, I don't like that. That being said, these are technically for some people cheaper than before because before you had to use real money no matter what you bought in the store. This time you have the possibility or the option of using points. So this, if you were going to buy the Kyrix Vault Pass and you were already getting a supporter pack, this is cheaper for them. And so that's a nice, I mean, not for the person buying it, but for GGG, I could see how that is an equal balance point. To me, they're less tempting. As somebody who would just buy the Kyrix Pass for money, which I wouldn't, but if I was to, this is way less tempting. I'm way less motivated to spend real money for mystery boxes that I probably would like 1 or 2
that you
MTX
might get something stupid
set.
from. That's right. It's 300 points for the paid one, so the $30. I think it's always been
so $30 American.
It's not unique based this time, where in the past it's been unique based MTX. So it's one full set of the Igneous Emperor set is what it's called. So you get the boots, the gloves. The boots are interesting. You would like it, but you have to die to get the benefit of it. You melt into a pool of lava when you die, and you reemerge from it when you resurrect. The gloves, enemy hits cause molten lava to spurt from your body. Meh. A body armor, you leave a molten trail in your wake as you move around, which it looks fine. And then,
like cool footprints.
Yeah. And then the helmet, your life globe and life flasks become filled with lava. It actually looks pretty cool in the little screenshot that they have where the life is filled with with lava. So
here's where it is worth it. If you're going to max out the challenges, whatever it takes to get the 115 complete map bonus objectives to unlock. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I could do that.
Yep.
So that's really nice. If you're the type of player, and many of us are, but don't be too proud. Many of us can, that's a big deal for a lot of players, but that's worth it then, because let's think of this. If you like that armor set, it's going to be more than $300.
Sure.
Sorry, 300 points. So you go to buy an armor set in the store, you're looking at 650, 800 points. Sure. Now you're looking at 300. You're getting not an armor set. You're getting an armor set that interacts with the game, which those are all new. Like this armor set isn't something that's like my original, what's that one, the Verdant armor set that looks like it came from a 2D game, right? Super stiff. I mean, it's kind of cool. Looks like it's from Dark Souls 1, I guess you could say. This isn't that. That's not what they're giving away for 300 points. They're giving away one of their new interactive cool ones. And then basically you could think of it as getting 4 different themed mystery boxes for free, because that is a really good deal. Maybe I will. 300 points, right? I got that kicking around somewhere.
It's not bad, because if you bought the lowest supporter pack, you're going to have 300 points, right? Because the lowest one is $30. So
is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember these things.
So it's cool. I'm not totally drawn to it, but I do like the fact that there's a free track. I think that's fun.
You do? Dang. GGG, just like out of nowhere. Hey, that's nice. That is good. You do get 300 points in the $300 or the 30-point $30 pack. That's awesome.
So after you defeat Katava in the Karui Shores, you'll earn your first reward, it says, and then additional rewards for map bonuses after that. So yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's fun that they're somehow interacting with the free side as well. I'm not super drawn to the premium track that they call it this time. Mostly because I don't actually care so much for that armor set, but it's cool.
It is cool. I like it a lot. Nice. Right on. I'm glad you brought it up. Thanks. Because otherwise that would have waited till next week. And that's a nice thing to shout out this week.
It just came out, I think, today. I think they just announced the Curix Vault Pass today. So
yeah, we were Friday the what? Friday the something.
7th.
April 7th today.
Yep.
Yeah, who knows?
So cool.
Justin.
All right, let's talk Crucible.
There was a league, a 321 league came out.
Yep, and as normal, let's just say it. It's Friday. Just a heads up. If the servers shit themselves,
it's not Saturday, it's not Sunday.
I think the league launch went great. It was very stable. Solid. I did have some weird issues in the breaking the egg section where ROAs were disappearing. It was really odd. They were just randomly disappearing, but I never experienced anything after that. Once I finished up that zone, and I'm now in Act 7 or 8. I haven't seen any weird occurrences like that. It was just very weird. I was like, what the hell's happening? Like, these ROAs are just disappearing. So I get that
you did have to restart your computer. Yeah, that's right. They're just running for their life. They're just operating. But no, you had to restart your computer today for the first time in 20 months. So maybe that was it.
I restarted actually quite often. But no, we're talking like Act 1, second zone. I played all the way through Act 8 and it was fine. So I don't know. It was just very bizarre. But I mean, for what are we? It's 9 o'clock now, so 8.5 hours into the league, pretty stable. Seemed to work quite well. I didn't see anybody talking in chat in 2121 about crashes. I didn't see anybody on Discord complaining. That being said, to be honest, I haven't actually checked Discord too much today since we started, but I didn't see people talking about crashes. And also, I
saw 2 people mention an instant crash, but it definitely wasn't a major commotion point. It happened once or twice to
you
one,
said that
2
Soja
people,
did, but I think that's self-inflicted. I'm pretty sure that was his fault. So.
I don't remember who, but it was really stable for me. That's for sure. It was just rock solid. I was able to play. The only issue I had was as a filter creator, there's 2 filters that I put out, and one of them worked no problem. The other one didn't, but the error that I was getting, it said I'd used the Iron Bard was the name of a div card whose name got changed. So now there's going to be a name that's the game doesn't recognize, and so it puts up an error. When there's an error in a filter, it'll still load the filter, but then it doesn't load it. You know what I mean? So it'll say you're using this filter. Oh no, there's an error. So then when you start playing the game, it does. I think it's the default filter. Right. Yeah, it's not a no filter. It's the default filter. And so I started noticing this. And I guess maybe their system, however it worked this time around, it just didn't actually process the changes that I had made an hour earlier until that point. By the time, I was 15,000th in queue, which again, the queue was nice and smooth, took almost no time at all. Smooth enough that after I waited the couple minutes for the 15,000 queue to drop down and I was playing, it was Act 2. Someone who was watching me on Twitch said, "Hey, I'm got 15,000 to go." I was like, you know what? It went actually pretty smooth. Maybe if I just restart my game quick, the second filter will work. And
did it?
So when you told me to go to the character screen, and I wouldn't have to go back to the login screen, and then I wouldn't have to go back to the queue, that actually, I don't know if it was just timing, and that's when my filter processed or what. But yes, that did fix it. So the filter, luckily for me, because that's like, what did I overlook? It wasn't a user error on that one, which it always is. So it was nice that it worked, and yeah, just smooth, man. It's been interesting. It was nice. Normally for me, when the league's normally starting, like whether that first interaction you get, not on the beach, but what's the beach after Lion's Eye watch?
The coast?
Yes, the coast. When you're on the coast, I never see that first thing. It's always somewhere north. I hug the right, I hug the water until I get to the waypoint. So I never get that first interaction. And I normally don't get it when I'm down getting the Quicksilver flask from the freeze guy, whatever his name is.
What do you mean when you say the interaction? What are you referring to?
I just don't see that original thing. I remember not Crucible. What was the
What's
one
the
where you would
original
like
thing? Sorry, I don't know what you mean.
Sorry, the first interaction you get with the new league mechanic.
The mechanic.
There's normally
Okay.
like an NPC or something that's there. You know that one league we had a while back that was all red and you had to shove something in your heart.
Yeah.
And it sent you to another world. I didn't see that for like the first 5 zones. It was just like this was the first league in a while where it was like, yep, in my face. Yep, in my face. I always saw it on my mini map. Maybe they increased the mini map radius for the hey, league content over here icon, but yeah, so I saw it and I interacted a lot with it and I've been playing through. And it's exciting for me because I have in my mind, I have a new permanent build, you know, my Elementalist Reaper. And so this is like I spent all league min-maxing that one, coming up with different variations, trying new things, enjoying my failings because it helped me make a decision, that kind of thing. And so I finally put it together with the new mastery options that blew my mind when they revealed them last week. And so it was so exciting to it improved my build a lot because I barely lost damage and I added a ton of survivability with the changes that they did. I know this might not be completely on topic, but I guess whatever, let's just go. But I'm still a little blown away that GGG added back a mastery that for one click, 12% increased mana reservation. Remember they got rid of it because it was way too strong. It used to be in the what's that notable called? The cluster by the
top left.
Quick. Hang on, I'll bring it up.
Oh my God, why can't I think of it?
Sovereignty. Yeah, I want to call it a sanctity or something. Oh, what did Josh say today? Reservating.
That's
Instead of reservation, reservating. So now
how much he's
brain's just
reservating.
enjoying that. Yeah, we reservated a lot. But yeah, so the sovereignty used to have that option for an extra 12% increase, and they took that away because it was too strong. They added that again, but of course in the mana pool or in the mana mastery. So I guess maybe that makes sense. It's not as strong because you still have to invest in a different cluster to get it, but it's still easy to access in a lot of pools, especially on the north and west side. There's a lot of mana notables that are only 2 off the path. So 3 nodes to get that 12% plus some mana bonuses, which normally include regen. Like, you know, it's still very powerful and very worthwhile, but just some of these additions got me so excited. So now I have the build I almost always wanted, and I've like cut nothing. You know what I mean? So
I think a big reason that they did that though was also because of the determination, like the changes for determination and grace and stuff, like to remove those reservations and not add something back like that mastery.
Oh, you mean the reservation efficiency nodes that used to be under armor
and
evasion. Okay, I understand.
So
yes,
I think that's probably a big reason as to why they introduced it back in. And I do like that they put it into a mana section. It maybe doesn't totally make sense, and you know, like where it could have been added back into the reservation areas.
I think it's way better. I think it makes sense in the mana section a lot.
Yeah. Well,
you put it back in a reservation mastery. If you put it in a reservation mastery, it's really powerful. It gives you the same math, but it's really powerful because it's way less investment.
Yeah, I'm just saying if it could have
spreads it out.
It definitely a reservation mastery being in the reservation.
It makes sense, but it's powerless. Yeah.
It is true though. For most trees, like for me, it was I had to go 2 points off my line to, and then obviously the third for the mastery. So I like it. I think I'm glad that they brought it back, given with the changes to determination and grace specifically with those.
Yes.
And it also made me just even in my own planning it out, have to adjust a little bit with, you know, thinking that through and figuring out how am I going to plan mana. And it's been a bit since you've had to like think a little bit about that. So yeah.
Well, for me, I'm a mana mastery. I'm a reservation freak. Like I just, I thrive. I just love those characters. I don't know why. A character that has no reserved mana, you know, and deals with it for mitigation, like with MOM or, you know, like mana damage skills. I know they're really strong. They're really powerful. It's not a criticism to the builds. They don't interest me. To me, mana's like, fill it up, right? You know, use it up. But then I love my favorite node, or my favorite cluster is the one that includes, there's 2 notables in it, but it's Champion of the Cause. That's the one that's in between the duelist and marauder. And so it's in the southwest, and it just does reservation efficiency. It's not mana specific, and that one's awesome because I'm always using arrogance for stuff, and I love petrified blood. And when I get champion of the cause and then the reservation travel node that's right next to it, I can get like, what do I normally do? Arrogance, vitality, clarity. Sorry, arrogance, vitality, clarity, and Arctic armor because I like stationary business. And I love that because that's just a nice, good 50%. And that's my favorite cluster right down there because it applies to both mana and life. And but I always start up on the north side, so I gotta do a little bit of traveling for it.
Oh, well, you could anoint it because that's a massive traveling for it. Why not just anoint it?
It is, but I also get the reservation mastery in there, that 20% increased life reservation efficiency of skills, and then there is a travel node that also has 8% increased reservation efficiency.
That's
so
a bit of traveling for the witch.
Yeah, it is. But then you're also really close to Bloodless, which is a big cluster, and also enemies can't leach from you, which is huge. You're also close to Soul of Steel, which is a lot of armor.
Maybe
and
you
max
shouldn't be
elemental
a
resist.
witch.
No, it's perfect because you just start as the witch. There's so much good stuff. You just, when you start as the witch,
that's where you get all your strength. You don't even get it on your gear. You're just like,
no, I don't
get it in the south part
I
of the
need
tree.
intelligence. I need intelligence. I need like 11 intelligence, and then of course a crap load of dex. I got 34 dex on the tree, but I need 111 because I like calling strike on the Reaper. But you know, it's like there's some decent damage nodes the second you start heading west, and there's obviously tons of life on that side. So no, it works out really well. So especially because you're not investing in minion survivability. If I'm investing in minion survivability, I can't go south because I have to go northeast a bit to get Grave Intentions and Indomitable Army.
Yeah.
So because I don't do that, I barely need to go north. I just go north for the Golem cluster, Golem commander. And because I'm already up there, I get Infused Flesh. That's the recoup cluster. And then of course there's a few things along the way, but then it's just down. And it's not a lot of travel because I'm only like, there's maybe 2 travel nodes between every cluster that I'm interested in. So it's like, yeah, I'm going somewhere, but it's no more travel than any other build that is way better than me, you know, online.
Yeah.
So no, but there's lots, because then there's also what's that other notable? Prismatic Skin and all those max to resist down there. And I'm a beefcake. I'm a beefcake because I
wonder how many travel nodes you have. I think like it's got to be quite a few.
Do you want to count?
No.
You bring up did you pre-plan a tree?
Only up until I haven't actually done all my end game stuff yet. So I have a bit of a tree planned out, but it's only up until like 70-ish. So, well,
I don't know if I should count because I don't know how many, like, are you counting nodes that aren't attached to a cluster?
I'm not counting at all.
So no, I will, but are you just talking like int and dex nodes?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing? Okay.
No, don't count them right now. Do you want to talk anymore? Like, do you want to just quickly chat about what you're playing, then we'll get into actual Crucible?
What are you playing? Yeah, sorry. I guess that doesn't make sense. So for people that have listened before today, of course, I've talked lots about this build. I'm doing an Elementalist Reaper. The thing that attracted me to the element, when the Reaper first came out, this is what I thought of. And the Reaper seemed like the perfect skill for me, but it didn't get a great reception. And I was foolish enough I still think the Reaper needs to hit harder by default. I think it does need an improvement, but it's doable. But I kind of paid more attention than I should have to the community in regards to the value of the Reaper and the power of the Reaper. And then there was somebody, one of the first kills of Cyrus, that league when the Reaper first came out, still have that video bookmarked to remind myself that just don't listen to the community. Like, there's always somebody out there that knows what they're doing and can do it. And the Reaper was great when it came out in its worst state, right? So anyway, I eventually got around to the Reaper, and the first thing I thought of when the Reaper was first announced and released, I'm like, oh man, because it consumes corpses for healing and for buffs, that would be so great with the Elementalist, because the Elementalist auto spawns columns, right? To get back up to your max. And so I'm like, that's awesome. It's so stress-free. It's like no clicks for that. That's fantastic. And so I eventually got around to doing that. And so I tested the crap out of the Elementalist version and other ascendancies as well last league. And so I'm doing a Reaper Elementalist build. It's focusing, of course, on the respawning golems, but it has a huge defensive benefit of Bastion of Elements. And I'm using the offensive version, Shaper of Storms, so that shocks enemies basically always take 15% damage. Now I'm hitting. I use Frostblink as a movement skill. I know, right? I have movement skill.
I'm impressed.
I know, right? I even used my movement skill, Justin, to jump over something today.
It was
pretty amazing. I know,
guy?
right? Pro tip: movement skills are a thing.
So good.
I know, right? 10 years later.
Actually, we have to bring out. I have to actually bring up. This is the first league since Tyler has played Path of Exile that he used a movement skill in Act 2 to get over.
Oh, in the riverways with the broken bridges.
First time ever.
Worked the first time.
Stupid controller.
Thing. I was all excited, but no, because normally you see people. I deal with concussion stuff, and so that quick movement and screen jumping is really bad for me. The best movement skill in the game for me is leap slam. There's something that they did with the camera with leap slam. They changed it maybe 10 leagues ago now, but
smooth.
Yeah, it's just the camera slowly follows the jump. Maybe it's a slower jump, but the camera follows it. There's no teleport. There's no instant slower, thing.
Yeah. Unless you have like faster attacks or something on
it. And like the same thing, like when I have really fast movement speed, the screen bangs. It bumps up and down because the screen's moving with every step. It goes up and down with every character step, and you don't notice it when you play slower like I do. But when like I'm on console and I was testing out a new flask setup that I'm going to be doing for this character. And so it was a Quicksilver flask that rolled increased movement speed in effect. And then I had increased movement speed, but then I also put on, what's that the enkindling orb. So the effect was even bigger.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I had like with the flask, it was like close to 80% movement speed or something like that. And it was like, it was just so much bouncing. It was just too much. So anyway, that's why I don't normally do it, just because it makes me puke and I want to play for a long time. And, getting nauseous doesn't help that. But when controller support came out, it gave me the ability to, I don't know what it is because the skill hasn't changed, but it gives me the ability to, I don't know, maybe it was
it's just the muscle memory of your hands with the controller.
Something, sure. Maybe like less clicking and aiming and the whole combination. So anyway, I'm able to use a movement skill on occasion. And so it was so exciting to league start with it. I got my Frostblink. And so I did that, and I didn't die once by those stupid throwers of pus balls that bind you and
pus
stuff.
Balls.
Screw you guys. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And as I mentioned, I'm going north for 4 clusters that are really close, but the whole point of going north is for the Golem Mancer cluster. And then I just shove myself west and all the way down.
Nice.
I go for sovereignty. Let's see, I have 3 mana. I have Deep Thoughts. That's for mana, for the mana reservation efficiency. Then I have sovereignty. Yeah, reservating right there. That's right, Josh. And then go all the way down to Champion of the Cause. So I got 3 of those. That's good. It's tons and tons and tons of defense. So I'm excited for it.
But you don't have the Reaper yet, right? Like your act.
I just got the Reaper. I got to Act 3. I just killed Gravicius, who unlocks it. And I'm at that waypoint on the way to Piety. So I have I just got that waypoint in that awkward transition. But that last section to Piety, it's like that eternal, if you do die on occasion, it's that eternal it's a long walk back. Yes, it is. So I'm just getting ready to start that. So I just unlocked the Reaper, and it's nice. It's nice. So sweet. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. What are you doing, Justin?
So I decided to play around with Fire Trap. I didn't know what I was going to play, and then we were talking with Josh a little bit ago, and he mentioned something about Fire Trap, and I was like, man, I really liked it with my RF guy, but I didn't want to do Jug. I didn't want to do RF again. So I started playing around with just a Fire Trap. Just playing around with Fire Trap. I haven't quite figured it out yet. And then, so I just planned out a tree. I wanted to go Elementalist just because you get a lot of benefit from the Elementalist with the Fire Trap. And then we played with Josh today, and he's like, oh, so what's the guy's name?
I think he was mentioning Subtractum.
Subtractum, that's right. He's like, oh, did you see his thing? And I didn't know that there was a thing. So now I haven't looked at it yet because I don't tend to look at I was messaging you the other day, or no, today. I don't get the YouTube stuff. So I haven't looked too much. The only thing I looked into was what people had played on
PoE
some of the
Ninja.
Hardcore. Yeah, in PoE Ninja, I don't like dying, so I don't want something that's just like glass cannon-y. So I was looking at some of the hardcore ones, some of the ones that had gone through Gauntlet, that had used Fire Trap. Yeah. So I kind of based an idea around how one guy in particular had his stuff set up, and then just switched the tree to something that was more up my alley. But what I haven't quite figured out yet is the Fire Trap is very strong single target. Like it's really, and not even just single target, but like with something like Crucible or something where you can preload the damage.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted. So that's the direction that I'm going. I will say I'm a little bit frustrated because I'm starting Act 8, I think, right now. And I still,
good for you.
I think I have like 5 or 6 fire traps leveling up right now. I can't use it. I just haven't been able to get the sockets. So it's a little bit annoying.
You started as an elementalist. You're a witch, right? And so is it because Dex is an issue or
no,
because
I just haven't found them. I just literally have not found something with the colors for me to use, which is crazy to be this far in, checking vendors, everything, and still not getting the colors that I want. I get that I could probably try to chromatic something if I wanted to, but yeah, it's just a little bit annoying to me that I'm Act 7 or 8 and still have yet to actually try using fire trap. But yeah, it's I think it will be fine. I mean, so far the leveling's been cake. It's literally just Armageddon Brand, Holy Flame Totem, Flame Wall. That pretty much carried me all the way through up to where I am right now, and it's still sufficient damage. So the only thing I'm playing around with right now is how I'm going to deal with mapping. Like to be a little bit quicker, make sure that the damage is happening, not having to throw fire trap that often. So fire trap was my focus for like the crucibles, the killing bosses, stuff like that. But just running through a map, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but we'll get there. Josh told me today that because I use Frostblink a lot, and so I'm playing around with trying to add damage to Frostblink because it's actually quite strong. Like Frostblink on its own is quite strong. So and one thing that I didn't even notice is the cooldown reduction built into Frostblink. I've never even paid attention to that.
Cool. It's so cool.
It's really good. So
basically, the more dangerous the situation, the better your cooldown. I mean, it's all based on the rarity of monsters around you, but still, that's kind of the premise of it, right? And I like that.
So the idea of playing with it has been fun. I did this one relatively quickly, so we'll see how it turns out. But so far, it's been pretty good. The build's going through pretty quick. It's doing fine damage, which is I typically find the leveling, especially in softcore, is it's funny. I was saying to Josh when I did Piety and was it Act 4 where you fight the bleeding version of her where she just spins in a friggin' circle with that beam.
Yeah.
I hate that is the fight in hardcore that terrifies me. And it's funny that it's so easy in softcore. I never ever die. Don't even have to think about it. But my hardcore characters tend to be much more tanky and more thought out. Yeah. But it's just funny the mindset of being in hardcore versus softcore, how much that stresses me out. So
that's funny.
Yeah, so far it's gone pretty good. I'm into, like I said, I think I'm just starting Act 8 or 7. I can't remember. But it's been fun.
That's cool. Good for you. I'm glad you're Act 8 already though, man. That's crazy. What time did you play till? Like the league started at 1 p.m. our time.
We did dinner at 6:30, 6:45.
Oh, okay. So you had an extra hour and a half. You were flying though, because I mean, you guys were already an act ahead by the time I quit, and so you're much faster than me. That of
he
course
ended up getting called out, and I was like,
oh, he
sucker.
did. What a sucker! I saw he logged in now to play, Josh. But
is he in now?
Yeah, but no, that's impressive. You're Act 8. I'm not going to be like when I'm playing tonight after we record this and after dark, and you're editing. I'm not getting Act 8, man.
I'm going to watch you. You might
enjoy because I'm going to be leveling with the Reaper, and it's not bad for leveling, but it's not, fast. Like, hey, this combination of skills will get you fastest to end game. Nope, that's not what I'm playing. I was hoping
to get to maps before we recorded, but I just didn't have the time. And also, we're going to talk about Crucible. I spent for my whole time to get to wherever I am, Act 8. I'm going to be a little bit sarcastic here, but about 25% of the time was literally spent on the coast because I jacked up the very first Crucible. I never spent so much time on the coast trying to kill a jacked up Crucible. Like, let's chat about Crucible. But my very first experience with it, I was like, well, I'm going to hold this down the whole way and go to that very first, little notable thing. They were all freezing mobs. I had freezing mobs all of Act 1. It made me angrier than hell. I was so pissed off. Everything was freezing me. I had nothing. It either froze or chilled me, and there's nothing you can do. I'm just like, well,
Act
Here I
one,
am.
right? We're not talking
Yeah.
like end
Not
of
even
Act
just
one.
Act
We're
one.
talking
We're talking
like
about
I don't even have
second
a
zone.
Quicksilver. Right? Yeah, I haven't even broken the eggs yet, and I'm getting
Which I
frozen like
get.
crazy.
It's my like I'm torn a little bit because I like that the mechanic punishes you if you push it too far. What I don't like though is that I don't actually have any information, and it would be different if I knew what type of mobs were going to spawn. If it said, because all it says is molten, it's talking about the Crucible itself. But if I knew that the mobs that this particular thing was going to spawn were cold based, or like you had a lot of bleed based or something, it might make you maybe just not push it as hard or as far. If you knew, I don't know, I'm not really sure, but I did find that quite frustrating because you don't have any idea what you're about to fight, and it's not the same as if you fought them in, let's say, maps where you've probably sorted your defenses out, you've probably got capped resists, so it's not the end of the world if you're fighting against cold mobs. But in the very beginning of the game, when you have no bleed flask, you have no cold flask, you have nothing, having some information I feel like would be beneficial. But again, I do like the fact that if I pushed it up and I made them super hard, that's on me and I have to just deal with it. Oh, I didn't realize though, I thought that if you died, it was over. I thought if you died, the Crucible mobs would despawn and you missed out. You have to try it on the next attempt. They don't. They just stay there and you got to keep fighting them.
Well, you can run the very first time, but yeah.
Well, I don't even know what happens if you're not
trapped. Yeah, I don't know what happens to your actual progress, but you're not trapped like you are in Ritual, right? Mm-hmm. Until you die. Like they're just mobs that are on the screen now. Yeah. Kind of like an essence, basically. You unlock it and then it's there. And if you're like, oh crap, and you die, or you can run away.
As long as they're not hasted and you don't have to run.
Well, exactly. But see, I have some issues with Crucible. I think again, it was released. I put you on D&D. What the heck?
How do you have a calendar notification at 10 p.m. on a Friday night?
I don't know what it's for.
That's got to be.
Do you want me to check?
After
Fine.
dark.
No, I'll check.
It actually can't be after dark. We would normally have recorded.
It is for after dark because I modified it for today because we were going to record the original episode at 8 and then after dark at 10. And so anyway,
you're hilarious.
Anyway, shut your face. So I still have I have a little bit of an issue with Crucible. Like I love the idea, like you crank it and it gets way too hard. I get that. It shouldn't be with stuff that I can't handle. Like GGG knows what's available to us, and every single league, it's like I feel like it's overtuned and we need to dial it back. Like we shouldn't need to worry about 100 enemies that, like, it's always bothered me, and this isn't going to be part of my criticism, but it's always bothered me that league content is harder than normal content. To me, make them all the same difficulty and all that kind of stuff, but you find other ways. Like it still needs to be fair. There's this, all of a sudden there's an insane spike of difficulty and then everything else is cake again, or however it works. Now, in this case, I can choose how many monsters I'm going to fight that are way more difficult than the surrounding monsters. But to me, I don't like that inconsistency. Find other ways to make it difficult. Give them way more life. But
sure, don't make them hit harder and do worse things.
What am I supposed to do about that? And in this case, what am I supposed to do about freezing and chilled? What are you supposed to do about that? I'm bleeding before I even get to the section mud flats. I'm bleeding. Like what is the game telling me to do? What is my solution? I'm out of life flasks. Easy. Like there's nothing that I can do about that. It's stupid. Like I get so there's some freeze situations which make sense, right? Like you go down, but it's not Crucible related. You go down to the guy that gives you one of the rewards is the Quicksilver, right? That flask. He does like lots of the glacial cascade spills, right? Hail Rake. You go to him. Okay, that makes sense. He's one guy out of that whole group that can freeze you. When you're down to the underwater area, you get a whole bunch of those like octopuses that can do the ice nova. Okay, well, your escape that's all close range stuff. You can, like, there's ways to get around a corner
or move away. Yeah.
Right. When you're doing Crucible, you have no option. Like, sure, you have that brief moment of when you're finished doing the charge and then you run away, but you don't know the monsters. You don't see them coming. They just show up like they do in Harvest. and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of them are ranged. They have way more health than you do, and they do way more damage. Now, I did try completely maxing one out to see what it was, because you decided to do that first. I'm like, okay, well, let's see what it was. And it was way too much. I couldn't handle it. And okay, fine, that makes sense. Whatever the scaling is, it's not like it's way too much for this section. It's just that's what it's going to be like as it scales forward. So I started doing them in thirds when I first started off, and that's the way that I've kind of stuck to, and I try and do it in thirds. I don't know if it's controller support, but there's a delay. Like by the time I finish letting go, it still climbs a little bit. And so a lot of the times my third is about half a travel. And I'm like, crap, like that's a little too much. I'm just doing this for fun. I don't actually want a long battle, because I'm a minion player. There's like 2 bases for the first 3 acts that I can get that are minion based. They don't drop. They have relatively frequent drops, but I'm not carrying every single. I'm not going to fill up my inventory with them. I'm not interested in filling it. And anyway, point is, none of the minion nodes that I've unlocked yet have interested me, so I have very little motivation to do them. But even with 1/3 of the power, it seems like it's too much. You know what I mean? Like it's either like, it doesn't seem like it's just quantity based or it's just health based. Like I'm playing a defensive character and I'm having to run. It's so much like ranged bleed, ranged freeze. Like it's just, I don't know. It's not, I get the intent, but I just think it needs to be toned down for the leveling. Who knows what it's like mapping wise, but I am, as a normal level character, an incomplete character, and I need to see hope in this. And the hope to me isn't kiting around in circles, casting SRS every few steps and hoping, knowing I'm going to live, but knowing that it's going to take 10 minutes and all I did was put the bar up a third. I started passing them pretty quick. Like I have my calling wands and I have my whatever spirit shield, whatever it is, or no, I'm dual wielding calling wands now, but I found 2. No, I had one with a good roll, calling wand with a good roll. It got other minion damage on it, but then the notable it got was really bad and it kind of negated it a bit. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So then I tossed that one, and then I got another one that had a crappy roll, but then it got a good first passive node, but then the next one sucks. I'm like, okay, just keeping that. And it's the same thing with the other one. So I don't really have, I'm keeping some in my inventory just to see, but for the most part, I am ignoring Crucible for now because it's, I don't know. I guess I'm finding that for a minion player, not like I'm not doing dominating blow. I'm not hitting myself. All of this is minion. My whole offense is minions doing all the damage. The early keystones or notables, whatever you call them on the weapon passive tree, they're not motivating enough for a long battle. Even though you get the increased boost, the XP per time it takes to kill them versus the reward I'm getting, not worth it. So I'm just moving on, and I'll find the benefit when my character's more set up.
So I've done maybe 5 crucibles in total, and the main reason that I've skipped them is there's 2 reasons. One, I'm not finding the bases, so it's not worth it for me to just do every single one, because mostly because I want to charge it all the way because I want to see what that notable is. But then when I do that, I'm fighting for what takes so much more time than if I was to just continue running. I can level so much quicker just continuing on, which is fine. That's my choice. I'm choosing not to do it. I think I have my issue with the Crucible. I love what Crucible is, and I'm very excited for it in maps and for planning out a character as my character grows. But what I don't like is that a Crucible notable that you don't know, right? So you don't see the Crucible notable. The very first one can have negative effects. I don't like that. I'm already struggling to find the items, and now to have the potential of an item bricked because of the first notable. And I didn't have a choice to say no. I didn't have a choice to not level that up because I don't know what it is. I didn't have a choice to say no once I get it, and to say, well, you could scour it is ridiculous because I've not seen a scouring orb. So
right, it's leveling, and
like,
also you don't want to risk those good mods for the sake of bricking it, right? If
right,
you had an
so
item that actually rolled nicely for you at the beginning.
I was thinking about it as I was playing today, like it's going to make it a little tough, because if you get a good item, let's say you get a good drop, right? An item drops, let's say it's
mods.
a weapon.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got good mods that you want. I really don't like the idea that I'm actually risking the item just to do the first Crucible. Because then should I be just crucibling everything and then I have to craft the item? You know what I mean? Like that makes me a little bit nervous, because I'm thinking, okay, if I can actually get the modifiers on the item that I want, and I can get the fire damage that I'm looking for, the very specific modifiers that are going to help me. I love the idea that Crucible could help me get. I don't actually care if Crucible doesn't necessarily make it better, but I don't like that Crucible could actually make it way worse. Like there was one of the ones that I saw was it was like a 15% reduced effect of mana reservation. That literally will kill me. That would be brutal to get that right off the bat. Another one which I could have maybe found a way to work around, but is to get like plus 30 cold, minus 20 lightning. That was one of the very first notables I ever got. That's not great in Act 1, right? To all of a sudden have that. So I'm not sure what the solution is to that, but it's a little bit, it makes me nervous to go and run a Crucible on an item as I'm leveling when I'm not getting many items. Like when you're leveling, especially when you don't have other characters where you could just go buy something for them or blah, blah, blah. A very first character of a league, this is it. There is scarcity to items that you can actually use unless you're sitting on trade site, which I have no interest in doing, going to buy items while I'm leveling. So then when I get one that's an upgrade, finally, it's like, I want to try it just because it's fun. I might get lucky, but then I also could literally get hit with that first notable, which you can't unselect. Once you've run the Crucible, that's it. It's now applied. So,
and if you can do any of that, the UI has a lot to be desired. If you can undo it, the UI definitely doesn't tell you, but
yeah, you can.
It's a little clunky on controller support. I don't know what it's like on PC, but the whole half the time I click on an item, it doesn't work. Like there's a lot of times where my instance, the menu doesn't work. I have to back out and then go back in to select my weapon or shield. I do like that it tells you that you've maxed something out. Like when you got one of the small trees and you've already maxed it out, it tells you, and that's nice.
Oh, does it? Cool.
Yep. But I do wish, I don't know what it's like, but I wish with controller support, when you're actually in the Crucible screen, I wish it showed you the tree of the item you were highlighting. I have to push down on the left analog stick and right trigger, and kudos to GGG. They come up with some really intuitive and creative ways to, sorry, I'm cleaning my glasses at the same time. Can't find that smudge, but they come up with some really intuitive ways for button combinations to make controller support work as fluidly as it would on PC, as long as the you remember what the combinations are, which I never can because they're crazy, but I couldn't think of any other combination, so it's not a criticism. But when I'm in the Crucible screen with controller support, maybe it's like this for mouse and keyboard as well, I have to hit a button combination. As I'm hovering an item, I have to hit a button combination that brings up a separate screen that shows me the passive tree.
Yeah, that's the same you just right click with keyboard and mouse. But yeah, it brings up a second screen.
There's what I don't like. The Crucible screen isn't big. It doesn't need to be big. I just need to see which item it is. So why can't, when I just highlight the item, it just shows me the tree on the right? What's wrong with that? Like, I just feel like it's so much extra. Just be like, is this the item? Oh, no. Shoot. Is this the calling one I want to upgrade? Oh, no, that's not the one. Oh, this is the one.
Well, the thing is, though, when you right click or open up that second menu, you can actually mouse over the notables to see what they are, right? So it gives you some more detail. If you just moused over and hovered over, it wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, but you could also, like, let's say you're using mouse and keyboard, you left click on that item without selecting some sort of OK option, and then it permanently brings up the menu, and you can just hover over it and see what's there. So if I was with controller support,
that's more clicks, though.
It's more for me, it's less. For me, it's less because I'm having to click something and then it shows up and then I move over to see what those items are. It's a lot of moving. It's very, I don't know. It's enough to make me be like, do I have to do this again? Really? But, oh shoot. I forgot what I was going to say though, before you were talking about, what were you talking about? Oh, bricking items. It is too bad that there's negative stuff right off the bat. Like I get people that are very familiar with the game. They don't care. Like negative lightning resist. Maybe they're like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm not planning on getting hit. This is how I'm going to fly through the game. And, I'm 3 hours in and I'm in my T1 maps already. But for them, fine. But in my opinion, the majority of other players, that's like, if I can screw up this weapon, if this will actually give me negative consequences, nothing that I'm doing Crucible wise is for a weapon for right now. To me, a player like myself, Crucible is all about tomorrow's weapons, not today's weapons. You know what I mean? I'm going to find a weapon that suits me, but it doesn't hurt me, right? Same with my shield and everything else that I'm going to be putting into Crucible. So I'm not going to put these items into Crucible, right? I'm going to make sure that I'm okay, I'm decent, but safe. Everything I'm putting into Crucible, because it could have negative effects, is something I'm not using. In other words, all these items are for another day. I'm going to find a base type, a normal item, and then I'm going to throw it in and wait till I get a good tree. Or I'm going to just, if I'm getting enough with enough good mods and bases, then, we'll take something that's already made and throw it in. But it's always about tomorrow's weapons, not today's. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but it's less exciting when you're leveling because you know that you're going to be replacing these weapons like crazy anyway. You're not going to be keeping any of these, no matter what the tree is. You're not going to be keeping them as the item levels get higher and higher. I mean, they already talked about, I don't know if they're notables or keystones, whatever they are, the keystones in these weapon passive trees. There's so many of them that unlock based on the item level of the weapon. So when you're leveling, they need to be today's items. None of them should be saved for tomorrow or for the next later and later and later. They need to be for today. So to me, GGG just needs to, I mean, they spent a long time getting this ready. So maybe these are things that they care about. And maybe they're just, if I was on the team and I was bringing these issues up, they'd be like, you know what, those are good points, but shut up, Tyler. We know what we're doing, right? So maybe these are things they talked about and thought about. But to me, the ailments that are applied definitely need to be looked at from Crucible monsters. There's no way some of these ailments should be applied in that type, like all the monsters being able to bleed, all the monsters hitting so hard that they're freezing you when you're already 4 levels over leveled over the environment, like over the map level. Like that's at what point? Like it makes sense when it's one boss, like that Hillock. No, not Hillock. What's the guy's? Hailrake. It makes sense when it's one enemy and you're surrounded by others, right? It doesn't make sense when it's all of them. Like that's just, it doesn't make it fun. Like, oh, I have a normal leveling character and I'm only going to increase the bar a couple millimeters. That's not fun, especially when the notable that's coming isn't exciting. So I think they just need to revamp the leveling experience. And because I'm sure it's probably fantastic once you're leveled and you have a solid character, once you're in maps, I'm sure it's fantastic. But for now, I'm in Act 3. Crucible's not worth it.
So I have 2 suggestions.
For me?
The first, for them with regards to Crucible. The first is either two things. One, the first would be the very first notable can never, ever, 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 ever be negative, ever. It's one of the worst things ever to get hit with a negative effect on your weapon or shield that can brick that item and your build right off the bat. I think that's ridiculous when you can't see what it is.
I'm giving you a big thumbs up.
An even better solution, I'm going to swear.
Don't say stupid.
Fuck off with the negative effects. Why are there negative effects on a talent tree? I don't understand that. Like, why not just make them positives? I don't get why there has to be a negative effect to the node. I really can't figure that out. I don't know if that's just them being them, like going like, you gotta have to deal with this. Don't do that. Like you're already relatively restricted. There's a bunch of RNG that's going to be involved with hoping you get the right tree for the right item. But you're taking an RNG tree and tying it to a insanely RNG item. Like if I get an item that has modifiers on it and now I'm running Crucible, there is an RNG part to that. I don't like that there's a potential for one of the nodes to have a negative. I don't get why. I can't think of too many spots on the passive tree where if I pick that, there's also a downside.
That's the design of a keystone. That's the whole point of a keystone. It gives you extreme power, but a negative to consider. But notables aren't like that. And the majority of the tree is, of course, the travel, but then the notables. Keystones are specifically designed for that reason. And when you're doing, but keystones, you can see ahead of time, you plan towards it, you've thought like on an entire week. You know, while I had people asking me why I use PoE Planner instead of Path of Building, because I posted my builds online this week. And I'm like, I need something that I can use in the grocery store when I'm in the lineup. I need something when I'm waiting for my tires to get changed, when I'm watching my kid play basketball or, baseball or something like that. I need something that I can use when I'm thinking, when I'm on the go, I'm on transit. Like, that's what that's what PoE nerds are doing. They're thinking about this stuff all the time. A keystone with positives and negatives, you can dwell on, you can think about, you can consider it. When it's all of a sudden just appearing before you, it just like it's a yes or no and you move on. And I totally agree with you. I think, see, dead notables are totally different than negative notables, right? Like, for example, one of my calling wands said, like, I'm looking for minion stuff, and it gave me like increased attack speed. And I'm like, well, I like that, and that's totally cool. Totally cool. Makes sense on a wand. Makes sense on many
Plus,
minion
it didn't
builds.
screw you over.
It doesn't. It's just, it doesn't work for me.
It's just not beneficial.
But that was the first one that I unlocked. Okay, fine. I get it. There's going to be dead stuff. That's like every other freaking item in the game anyway. So that's how it goes. Expectations already set. No big deal. Next one gave me increased minion damage and like negative chaos resist for them. And I'm like, no, vendor that. Right. But I was fine with that because my very first one was positive. I still don't like negatives. I prefer dead.
At least you
over
knew
negative.
though that was coming. If you chose to level it up,
yes,
you
I saw
know
that.
what it is. Yeah,
right. So to me, in that circumstance, now I agree with you. I wish the negative stuff didn't exist on these trees, even if it meant lower offensive values to compensate for the fact that you're not going to brick an item ever. It is nice that when you get an item, it doesn't screw you over. You know, like, for example, I can think of when I'm a Righteous Fire character and the old way Elemental Overload used to work. Remember, now it only works for the specific skill. Oh, no, Elemental Equilibrium. That's right. Elemental Equilibrium, not Elemental Overload. Sorry. So Elemental Equilibrium, if I'm doing a Righteous Fire character, I don't want any added fire damage to my gear. The item isn't screwing me over. The keystone is, right? But there wasn't anything that could roll. It's not like I could get negative life regen on my armor and be like, oh, shoot, man, that really sucks. I got negative life regen. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, it was the keystone that screwed me over. Whereas with this one, it's like you're rolling a new mod that's like, hey, congrats on your negative life regen. And it's a surprise. It's not a unique item that you knew would roll this. Yeah. So I agree with you on it. I agree. But at the end of the day, I think Crucible's really cool. It just needs tweaks. Like, I'm not enjoying the experience, but I love the idea and what it could be. And like I think we both said, mapping's probably really cool once you're all set up. But right now, the leveling experience just has stuff that makes it unfun. But the whole concept of it, I'm still very excited for. And remember, people, it's Friday for us, right?
Yeah,
I'm
right.
at 3, Justin's Act 8. Right, yeah. So by the time this comes out, we'll already be in maps, on Sunday or Monday night. And so we'll have a completely different, well, assuming we're going to have a different opinion, but we're going to have a lot more to talk about for next week's episode because it'll have been out for a week instead of 5 hours. So,
yeah, my thought is just I don't know how to do it going forward. I don't know. Do I craft the item that I want and then take the chance on the Crucible? Do I do the Crucible on every single item for the first one until I get a tree that I like and then try to craft it? I'm not really sure. So maybe that's just something you're supposed to figure out. Maybe that's the idea of it. I just don't like the idea that in the game where, I mean, you and I have talked about it. I would love the dropped items to be the good items. Like, you hope you get a dropped item, which I know it's not there. But the idea that if a dropped item drops and I'm like, oh my God, I finally got modifiers that work for me, but then I'm scared to take it into the league mechanic because it could wreck it off the very first one. It's different if it's the second, third, fourth, or fifth one, and I've got a choice just to not progress the tree.
You have a whole bunch of great items. Yeah.
Right. It's when it's that very first one. So anyway, I do love the idea of Crucible. I think it's worked great. I did it one time in multiplayer with Josh, and when
what was that like? What was the multiplayer like?
He finished up his charge. I was in the middle of doing my charge anyway, but it gives you a 10-second countdown. So you have a 10-second countdown to fill up the charge to wherever you want, and then it starts.
10 seconds from what? The second one of you touches it, or the time one of you ends it? So who's in charge of the charge? Like, how are you and him both charging?
You charge it however much you want, and he charges it however much he wants. What I don't understand is if he charges it 10, 15%, and I charge it fully, that I have no idea how that part's working. It seems like you'd want to talk to each other and be like, hey, let's aim for this amount. I honestly, that part,
I wonder
I'm not
what
sure.
it is, because how you're describing it seems like a pointless double interaction. It seems like it's only going to go off of one.
Let's charge it all the way anyway. So I don't know how it works if somebody charges it only halfway, but I'm never going to charge it less than full. So anyway, it's been the launch has been smooth, which I do appreciate. People seem to be having a good time. I love that they made it so you can right click someone's tree and chat. I think that's good. Kudos to the trade dude who's already made it work, or dudette, whatever, made it work on the trade site. I think that's incredible that you can actually search based on Crucible notables. That's
that's right.
Bonkers.
The one person in charge of the trade site. Good for you. Good for you.
Shout out to them. And then also a big shout out to, I should remember his name, but Camille, the guy that works with Camille on sound, because the sound within the Crucible is so good. When you activate the Crucible, it sounds good.
I remember his name.
What's his name?
Camille Jr.
Yes, Camille Jr. Thank you. Because it sounds great when you activate the Crucible and you are in the fight. That music is really, really good.
Watch Camille it's like, no, that's not right. Shoved him aside, did all the music.
Yeah. Well then, good job, Camille. Camille or Camille Jr. It's great. We love it. I love it. So
I love it. We love it. You anytime you can say we love it. It's always good.
Yeah. I think we're gonna wrap this up though.
Yeah, we're at an hour 20 unedited, and we have some. Are we doing After Dark tonight, or you want to do it tomorrow morning?
After Dark tonight. So Patreons, I have got some. I'm sure there's juicy stuff for us to talk about.
Right, Dick Wet?
All right, let's wrap this up. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Forever Exiled, episode 183. I'm Justin, AK Tags.
I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days, and we're going to have a short After Dark because I want to get playing and catch up to Justin in Act 8 while he edits.
Oh, God, editing. All right, Patrons, Patrons, we'll catch you in After Dark. Everybody else, will see you next week in 184. Hopefully your Crucible League launch is going great. Thank you for hanging out. If you look for more information, you can find down below. We get a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a very fun Discord you should be a part of. And Patreons and other ways to support the podcast, you'll find them down below on our website. Bye-bye.
Bye. You're so good. Anyway, bye. Gotta play.